Hello. Well, back in New Zealand, cold, chilly New Zealand, as you can tell. Um, so I was going to do a video while I was in Vegas about kids in Vegas. Now, it's a pretty emotive subject. Lots of people have got an opinion about kids in Vegas and whether they should be there and whether they shouldn't, whether it's an adult's playground and kids just should go to Disneyland and not go to Vegas. And I must admit, before I had kids, certainly that was my view, and probably even when I had kids, that was still my view. But I always talked about Vegas. My kids know how much I love Vegas. So we were doing a trip back to England and to see my family, or our family. And I thought, hey, look, we've got to stop somewhere. So let's stop over in LA, take a quick trip down to Vegas, take the kids to Vegas for a couple of days, just so they can see where Daddy goes and what Daddy gets up to. Well, not exactly what Daddy gets up to. They didn't need to know that. So I thought, hell, let's do it. Let's take the kids to Vegas. So we stopped over in LA, went down to Vegas, had 2 nights there. We stayed in Excalibur. I'll talk a bit about which hotels are the best to go to. But everyone knows I love Excalibur, badged during Excalibur, we're tight. And I do think that's just a really good option if you're taking kids. Certainly that South End is a little bit more kid friendly, I feel, and I'll talk a bit about that, about why I feel that as well. Kids in Vegas. Now, I just come back, as you know, and to be honest, I didn't see that many kids. I wasn't around much during the day. I didn't notice any kids. I didn't see any kids being noisy or naughty or getting in the way. I did see them, but I didn't really notice them. I actually saw more prams with dogs in, believe it or not, which is something I thought I'd never say, but there was more people with dogs in prams than there was kids in prams, which is just crazy. I mean, what's the world coming to? And these dogs were being pushed by in these prams. You could see the look on their faces thinking, oh God, I hope none of my friends see me now. Like, oh, but yeah, if you're going to take your dog to Vegas for some reason and you want to, then it's fine, you can. And there's little doggy places you can take your dog for toilets and stuff. But I must admit, if I had a choice between taking kids to Vegas and taking the poor old dog to Vegas, I think I would take the kids. But hey, each to their own, and there's a bit of Vegas for everyone. I'm sure even there's places for doggies in Vegas. So yeah, do whatever you want to do to get to Vegas. It's a great place, whether you're with the dog or the kids, or on your own or with mates. Anyway, on to kids. That's what I'm talking about, not bloody dogs. Okay, so kids in Vegas. So I took my kids, and before I left, I mean, I've been to Vegas 9 times or 8 times before that, so I knew what to expect. And I think that's the key here, is if you're taking kids, you've never been to Vegas and you're taking your kids to Vegas, you need to research. You need to know where you're going. You need to know the right hotels to go to. You need to know what attractions are going to interest them. And you need to understand that it's a completely different Vegas than the Vegas you'd go to as an adult. I briefed them before I went. I sort of said that, you know, it's an adult playground. There's adult stuff. I scared the life out of them about going on the casino floor, you know, off the marked carpets. Told them that, you know, they'd be in big trouble if they went off those carpets, would be thrown out and all the rest of it. Sort of laid it on a bit thick. They were 6, 8 and 9, or 7, 9 and 10, that sort of age. So it was easy to scare them. Less so, I guess, with teenagers. But certainly I think laying that groundwork of sort of saying that it's an adult place. Kids can be kids where you know, they're in kids areas, but certainly around the casinos they had to behave. They're on, you know, absolute orders to respect adults and what adults are up to, and to not be a pain in the backside. Anyway, so we arrived. We had adjoining rooms, so the kids all slept in one room, and me and Mum slept in the other room. Excalibur were really good at sorting that out for us. Made sure we had adjoining rooms with the door though in between the two, so that worked really well. We tended to go to the pool during the day. The Excalibur's got a great pool for kids. They really enjoyed that. It was September, so it was pretty warm. And they really loved the pool area. There's a slide there. It's a very chilled and relaxed pool. There's no, sort of cheese wire, Marmite cheese wires, the bikinis that go up your arse. There's none of that. It's all very, very family orientated, and the pools were great. So we spent a lot of time at the pool during the day. We walked around a lot during the day. I took them to all the good hotels, so they could see, New York, Venetian, all those themed hotels, which is what really appealed to them more so than, the Wynn and places like that, which were posh, but yeah, sort of kids want to see the fun stuff, they want to see the theme stuff. They love the Luxor and places like that. So we did a lot of walking around, but we did that during the day. And I think we took them out one evening late at night to see the lights, and that was it. But we literally took them out to see the lights and had a little walk down the strip and came back. Not because they were in danger or anything stupid like that, just because, it is an adult place. If people are drinking and gambling, they don't want kids around, and I get that. And the kids don't want to be around. The kids don't want to be part of that world either. So yeah, we took him out to see the lights, but generally we sort of moved around during the day and had them in bed by sort of 9-10 o'clock. So the things we went to do and see while we were there, again, being based at the Excalibur was great because we went across to Mandalay Bay and took them to the shark reef thing, the whatever you call it, with the fish, and they really enjoyed that. It's probably no better than any of the other aquariums anywhere else you can go, but they enjoyed it. It was good. They saw the big fish and the sharks and what have you, and it's a good time. We also went to the bodies exhibition in Luxor. Now that was it did freak them out a bit, seeing all these sort of dead bodies, but it was really educational. And my wife's a doctor, so she took a lot of time explaining all the different parts. So as much as my youngest was a bit freaked out, I think by the end of it they'd learned something, which was really cool, and they'd seen something they're never ever going to see again. Lots of real bodies, all sort of dissected and cut up, and they saw all the lungs, and they saw the comparison of lungs of smokers against the lungs of non-smokers, and so I think that was a really good educational thing, and I think on some level they enjoyed it. So we went and did that. Shows wise, we went to the Tournament of Kings at Excalibur, which is a great show for kids. They loved it. Finger food, lots of pop and what have you, and the show was great for kids. Lots of jousting and knights in armour and dragons and stuff like that. So they loved all that. So that was really good. We took them to the 4D cinema there as well, and they enjoyed that. So yeah, I think Excalibur, that south end of the strip for kids is great because you're away from that mad sort of middle part of the strip where there's lots of people sort of trying to be adults and lots of stuff going on. That has got nothing to do with kids, whereas on the south end, Excalibur's great for kids. You've got Mandalay, you've got New York. So it's a nice end of the strip to be. It's a little bit quieter. Still stuff going on, but a little bit quieter and certainly more suited to kids. As for other places you can take kids, I guess obviously up the north end you've got Circus. And if you've got teenagers, the rides on top of the Strat are an absolute must. Oh, that was the other thing. My oldest, who was 10, did the New York roller coaster. She was just about tall enough to go on that and loved that as well. So yeah, there's loads to do up there for kids, and you've got M&M's World, you've got the big Coke bottle, and you've got all sorts of things down there now. You've got the Museum of Illusions as well down at Aria, just outside Cosmo. So that's there as well. You've got the park, which is a nice sort of walkway, nice quiet walkway with sort of fountains and bits and bobs to see. So yeah, I really think the South End, if you're going to go with kids, is a good place to take them. So sorry, back to the North End. Yes, obviously Circus up the North End. You've got the indoor theme park, which is a bit naff, but certainly if you've got kids, they're going to love it. Everyone loves a theme park. There's a few rides there which aren't that scary, but they're good. They're okay. And it's relatively cheap compared to going to a theme park for the day. So that's worth taking. Circus also is another one that's geared up for kids. Lots of food options for kids. Lots of an arcade, that sort of thing. So yeah, Circus okay, but there's not much else up there. I mean, you've got Fontainebleau and Resorts World now up there, but they're not really kid friendly. They're adult sort of places to go, and unless I guess you're a rich couple and your kids used to that sort of thing, I can't see much of those resorts that are going to really interest a kid. So if you're stuck at Circus, you're a bit up the end, a little bit out of the way. Coming down the strip, Treasure Island is always a fun place to take the kids. You've got the pirate ships outside. No pirate show anymore, but there's things to see and do there, and I think that's probably a good kid option. But again, although it's more central, I don't think it's as good as Excalibur would be. Then you come down to sort of the Wynn and Horseshoe and Bellagio and Flamingo and all those sort of things. Now, we walked up to the Flamingo and walked around the park there to see the flamingos, and they love that. I mean, we walked up the strip and they love seeing it. But again, sort of being in that centre strip, I'm not sure there's a hell of a lot for kids to do. I think if you've got teenagers, that might be more fun, although obviously they're restricted with how much fun they can have until they're 21. Yeah, probably if they were teenagers, I'd go more centre strip. But certainly if they're up to the age of about 12, I would stick more to those hotels that are more catering for kids. The other good thing about the Excalibur is they've got the fun dungeon. The kids spent many hours down there. Really enjoyed that. And got some teddy bears and stuff. You put your quarters in and you win tickets, and you can exchange those tickets for prizes at the end. So they did pretty good out of that. But so that whiled away a few hours, and they really enjoyed that. And it's actually quite good fun as an adult to play with them as well. Lots of cool, fun games to play. So should you take your kids to Vegas? Yes, I think there's lots to do and see. I really enjoyed taking my kids because I went places that I wouldn't go unless I was with the kids. I don't go down to the fun dungeon when I'm on my own or with other people, and I don't particularly want to go to the kids type shows like the Excalibur one, the what's it called, the jousting one. I don't particularly want to do that unless I was with the kids and what have you. So I wouldn't go to the 4D show. I wouldn't go to the Shark Reef. So I wouldn't do all those things unless I was with the kids. So it was good to see a different sort of Vegas, but I had to go with the mindset that it was a different Vegas. It wasn't, sort of where can I leave the kids so I can go and gamble? Can I leave the kids in the room and lock the door and go and gamble? It wasn't like that. I guess me and my wife did sort of, when we got back in the evening, the kids went to bed, and we did sort of share a couple of hours where I went downstairs for an hour or two and then came back, and then she went downstairs for an hour or two and came back. That was fun, but you've got to do it on the basis that you're there for the kids and you're there to see a different part of Vegas. It's not a gambling trip. It's not an adult trip. It's not a drinking trip. It's more about enjoying Vegas in a different way. So if you're going to take your kids to Vegas, I would say key thing is be open and honest about what sort of place Vegas is. It's an adult playground. It's not for kids. There are kids' activities, and certainly kids during the days and at the pools might be great. But you've got to let them know that they're on their best behaviour. If you've got kids that are used to just running amok and aren't going to do as they're told, don't take them. Simple as that. I was very, very clear with the rules before we went, and the kids stuck to them and were great. Don't take them out at 3 o'clock in the morning. They're going to see stuff they don't need to see, and you're going to be explaining stuff you don't need to explain. It's just not, that's not what kids want to see. Kids want to see Vegas. Vegas is amazing, whatever age you are, but take them out when it's conducive to taking younger people out. Don't go out and do the silly stuff. I put some photos in on the end of this of our trip. I didn't vlog anything back then, obviously, because vlogging wasn't such a big deal. But yeah, so in conclusion, and I want to thank the people that responded to my Facebook post about this. I asked, I said I was going to do this and asked about taking kids to Vegas. And whether it's just my friend group on Vegas, but the people that had taken kids were all really positive about it, sort of really good comments about how they had a great time with their kids. And I think most of those people did it the same as I did. They laid down ground rules. They went with the kids because they wanted to go and take their kids to experience Vegas. And they're all like me, and they all loved Vegas as an adult playground too. So, and they separated the two out. So thank you to everyone that responded on the Facebook post that I put on. Really appreciate your comments, and it was fun talking to you about it and listening and hearing your experiences. But as I say, overall, I was surprised there was no negative things. There was no one saying, don't take kids isn't for Vegas. And I think if you go to some of the other sort of Facebook groups, you hear a lot of that. Bloody kids in Vegas and shouldn't be there and getting in the way and what have you. I think there's obviously people that take kids to Vegas that are going to Vegas and have to take their kids. And those people maybe haven't got the right, attitude to going with kids. Maybe, I don't know, I don't want to judge anyone or anything, but there's no doubt that 1 in 1,000, 1 in a million people that take their kids to Vegas do it wrong. They're dragging their 5-year-old who's tired and screaming through the streets at 3 o'clock in the morning while they're holding a cocktail and just hating the kid for ruining their trip. If you're like that, if you want to go to Vegas, find a babysitter, wait till they're older and go without them. Just don't take them. But if you want to go to Vegas with your kids to let them enjoy Vegas, there's a lot to enjoy, and I would definitely recommend it. So that's it. I'm trying to think. I think if I was going to say a couple of rules overall, one, choose your hotel carefully. I would say the South End is the best place to take kids because of the group of hotels that are up there and the amount there is to do up that end, which is more kid orientated. I would say do that. I would say lay down some ground rules before you get there with your kids. Let them know they're going to see things they're going to question, and be open to when they do ask questions. If they see something that's just, they've never seen before. My kids are from New Zealand, so they've never seen, women walking around in bikinis in the street with a drink. That's not something you see every day in New Zealand. So be ready to answer questions and be open and honest about what it is and what those people are there for and why they're enjoying it. And I talked about the gambling. They obviously they wanted to go to the machines and look at the machines, but we walked through and they glanced, but they obviously didn't stop. But they asked about gambling, and they need to understand that the gambling in Vegas is about entertainment. It's not about winning. You're never going to win. And that that it costs a lot of money, so I sort of did the whole talk about gambling. It was a good. Vegas is a good place to be able to talk to kids that are, certainly my eldest, not my youngest, but my eldest, asked lots of questions about what she saw, and it was a really good opportunity to broach some of the subjects, some of the more adult subjects you normally wouldn't come across. Why else, when would you talk about gambling to your kids? And why people do it, and the bad side of it, and the good side of it, and why, when would you ever get that opportunity to talk to your kids about that sort of thing? So it gave us a lot of opportunities to open avenues to talk about. And I think, now my eldest is coming up to 16, and she's all over going to Vegas for her 21st, and Dad taking her, although she probably changed her mind about that when she gets to 21 and she'll want to go with a boyfriend or something. But she loved Vegas. She knows how I love Vegas, and I think she saw part of Vegas that she wanted to. But I'd like to think that the things that she learned during that trip stuck with her. The things that I talked about since in all my trips, that she'd go to Vegas with a far more level head than she would if she just went, "Hey, I'm going to Vegas for the first time ever, don't know anything about it," and just went. I think that would be a very different trip to the one I hope she enjoys when she's 21. I hope I'm around to take. It'd be great. I can't think of anything better than taking your kid for the 21st and showing them Vegas as an adult after seeing it as a kid. The rules, tell them the rules, lay the groundwork, be open and honest, and be willing to talk about stuff. Choose where you're going to stay carefully. Don't go to the top end hotels unless your kids are used to top end stuff. Go to the fun hotels. Even if it's not you, but go where the kids are going to enjoy it, and you'll enjoy it. That's the bottom line when you've got kids. If they're having fun, you're having fun. It's very hard to have fun if your kids aren't enjoying stuff. That's my bottom line. There is loads to do in Vegas for kids. I personally wouldn't go downtown with my kids. I didn't take them downtown. I don't think there's enough downtown for kids. It's more adult, and so I wouldn't take my kids downtown. There's the container park, and obviously the roof park there is really cool to look at. But I see no other reason to take them down there. It's too adult. I simply wouldn't. But that's just me. I guess you could take your kids down there, but I wouldn't. That pretty much sums up my little sort of summary of taking kids. If anyone's got any questions, if anyone's thinking about taking their kids or worried about taking their kids, or please put it in the comments, and I'll get back to you and tell you my experience and give you my advice. I'm no great parent, I'm no great Vegas expert, but I've done it, and I know if you're thinking of taking your kids either on a stopover or on a trip that's going to involve other stuff as well, then you might be worried about what you're going to be doing. So by all means, please put it in the comments if you want to know something about it, and I'll do my best to help you with where to stay and what to do, and how to book adjoining rooms and stuff like that. So please, if you like any help, reach out, and I'll be more than happy to give any advice I can. I think that's pretty much it on kids. Bottom line is, yes, you can take your kids to Vegas, but don't take your kids to Vegas if you're a shitty parent. Oh, that's a terrible thing to say. No, don't take your kids to Vegas if you want to do Vegas yourself. Take your kids to Vegas to show them Vegas from a kid's point of view, but don't take your kids, certainly younger kids, to Vegas if you think you're going to do Vegas like you would without them. Don't do it. So that's it from me. Well, my next vlog will probably be skiing. I'm taking my youngest two, Connor and Tilly, skiing to Wanaka on the South Island, New Zealand. So I will take you with me on that trip. I'm sure they'll be doing a lot of the vlogging and not me, but there'll be, I'm sure, a very old man falling over a lot on skis. I'm sure they'll try and catch that on video. And lots of beautiful countryside and beautiful vistas from the mountains in New Zealand. So if you're interested in catching that, we're going there in September. Then we're going back to England in December. I've done it again. This is meant to be a surprise for my mum. If she ever watches these, it won't be a surprise anymore. But we're going back to the UK in December, where we will visit my parents for Christmas. So we'll do a vlog of that trip. Poppy will be there. I'm sure it'll be the kids' vlog, not mine. But again, if you're interested in that, that will be on. And then next year, I'll be off to Vegas again with my wife. We're going on a big anniversary trip. Be my 60th, her 50th, and our 20th wedding anniversary. So that'll be a huge trip next May. And then I hope she doesn't watch this, because I'm hoping to talk her into letting me go for a second time next year for my birthday, which is in November. Her birthday's in May, when we're likely to go the first time. My birthday's in November, so hopefully I'll go back for a second trip, which would be great if I can. But money and what have you, it takes a lot of saving up for these trips. And I know you only live once, and I drive a shitty old car, and for the reason that I love going to Vegas. So money's, I spend the money on Vegas. I don't spend it on cars and flash phones, as you can probably tell from the rubbishy phone that's filming this. I don't spend it on other things. I spend it because I want to do the stuff I love doing. And so anyway, that'll be the trips coming up. I've been rabbiting on for long enough. So if you need any advice, let me know. Until then, bye for now.